This episode of Nerdist News is sponsored by Borderlands 3. The Game of Thrones showrunners have pissed off fans again. Over the course of its final season, Game of Thrones pushed fan loyalty straight to the edge of the known world. The rushed plots, confusing character motivations, random Starbucks cups, and a whole lot of dimly lit dragon battles were just a few of the complaints that were leveled against the HBO fantasy drama's last 6 episodes. And while the fan base raged both online and at the water cooler, many took solace in the fact that they would get their day in court after it was announced that the Game of Thrones cast and crew, most specifically showrunners D.B. Weiss and David Benioff, would be taking to San Diego Comic-Con for one final Hall H panel. This was going to be a chance for fans to finally confront the creators and demand answers. Why did Dany all of a sudden become a supervillain out of nowhere? Why was Brienne still crushing on Jaime after he ghosted her? And why? Why did Bran become king over Sansa? One could say that winter was coming for the show's creators. Or so fans thought, because as if by some dark magic, Benioff and Weiss have managed to once again raise the ire of their fans from the ashes of the series finale. And they did it on the most holiest of holy days on the geek calendar, Comic-Consmas Eve. So what was that final bit of salt they rubbed in still healing fan wounds? Well, Benioff and Weiss dropped out of their own Comic-Con panel. While the panel is still scheduled for Friday with many of the show's stars in attendance, including faves like Maisie Williams and Nikolai Costa-Waldau, the big reason many were lining up overnight for the panel was that Benioff and Weiss were going to be there. So why did this happen? Well, like a lot of Season 8, there seemed to be no good explanation for why this went down. All they said was that it was due to scheduling conflicts. And while we know that could be true, the fact that they didn't offer any further explanation makes it hard not to jump to one conclusion. They didn't want to attend their own trial. Now, to be fair, everyone should have seen this coming. I mean, it was right there in the show.
It appears the Queen Mother doesn't wish to attend her own trial.
Anyway, now we can't even say that we blame them, because I'm not sure if I could really get in front of a crowd of 6,500 people and explain why Jon didn't pet Ghost goodbye. He's such a good boy. I can't bear that. The bottom line is, they said they were going to be there, and you can't get fans' hopes up like that only to dash them on the rocky shores of reality at the last second. Well, I mean, you can, and they did time and time again with Season 8, but you really shouldn't do it again. Now, naturally, a lot of the internet agrees. Within moments of the news dropping, Twitter was dripping with the sauciest of spicy takes. Like user Penny Frisk, who wanted to know if it was a scheduling conflict, why did the Game of Thrones showrunners pull out over 24 hours before they were set to appear at Comic-Con 2019? Wouldn't they know they weren't going to make it and let people know sooner? You know, it seems like they would, Penny. It seems like they would. And then there was the Justin Burden, who translated scheduling conflicts to mean, wasn't it obvious while watching the final season that we don't give a shit about Game of Thrones anymore? Whoo, big yikes. But perhaps no one put it better than Cryptex S91, who commented that Game of Thrones has pretty much become a flaming ball of constant disappointment. Hey, like the one that Dany launched at all those people in King's Landing. They're dead now. Now, of course, we should take a moment to say here that while being pissed is totally understandable, that doesn't mean you should take it out on the rest of the panel. If you're going to be in Hall H on Friday, remember that the actors in attendance didn't have anything to do with the plotting of Season 8, and they were cool enough to show up amidst similarly busy work schedules. I mean, Maisie Williams is presumably still filming New Mutants coming out 2219. So why not offer them some kind words if you make it to the front of the Q&A line? And if you need to feel that there's some semblance of justice in this world, just remember that the higher-ups at Disney are probably watching all of this, and maybe they don't want two guys who bail on their fans like this heading up one of their biggest franchises. Or maybe nothing will happen to them and they're just going to make their Star Wars trilogy and it's going to all go as planned. But guess what? That means they'll have to hit a press line at some point, and you can bet your bottom dollar that fans will get their answers then. Eventually. But until then, tell me, what do you folks think? How do you feel about D&D dropping out of Comic-Con? Are they just subverting our expectations? Are we being too hard on them, or do they deserve to get dunked on? Let's discuss. Thanks again to Borderlands 3 for sponsoring today's episode. The original shooter-looter is back and bigger than ever. With 4 all-new Vault Hunters and over 1 billion guns, it's time to lock, load, and loot. Pre-order Borderlands 3 now so you can play it when it drops on Xbox One, PS4, and PC on September 13th. Let's make some mayhem.